Final Fantasy VII is a very special game for many people. For some, it was their introduction to turn-based RPGs, and if you ask me, it definitely shook the gaming industry when it first came out in 1997. Now, I didn't get to play the original game until a few years ago, but I can see why people admired this game. Even though I wasn't a big fan of turn-based RPGs, there was still a lot to enjoy, whether that be the interesting plot, engaging characters, or the musical score composed by Nobuo Uematsu. So when Square Enix announced that they were going to remake Final Fantasy VII, naturally, a lot of people were excited. Announced back in 2015, the game is finally in our hands as of April 10th, 2020. So how is this game? Well, let's mosey and find out. The story begins in Midgar. You play as ex-soldier Cloud Strife hired by a group of eco-terrorists named Avalanche. Avalanche consists of a team of 4, Barrett, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. They are tasked to blow up a reactor owned by a company named Shinra, an electrical power company that draws energy from the planet known as Mako. That's pretty much all you're given with, and that's all you need really. A greedy corporation taking energy and slowly killing the planet, while a team is tasked to blow up one of their reactors. But that's not all. You learn more about Cloud's tragic past and learn more about the great war hero Sephiroth. But for those that played the original, already know this, so what does the remake exactly offer in terms of story? Well, I'm happy to report the story of the game has been vastly expanded on. Except for, well, the ending. But whether it's Midgar or the characters, trust me, you will not be disappointed. These characters feel better than the original, which I thought was an impossible task considering how great the characters were already written in that game. Even some side characters get some great moments. Jesse from the Avalanche team especially getting some great screen time.
Welcome home, honey. Took your sweet time. Psych.
There was a moment in the game where Jesse felt bad about bombing the reactor because she thought she caused all the damage to Sector 1. I thought that was a great character moment for Jesse, and there are plenty of moments like that with different characters. However, while I think Jesse is fantastic, I was hoping Biggs and Wedge got some equal screen time and get the story fleshed out a bit more. But sadly, that's not the case. There's a whole chapter dedicated to Jessie. We learn more about her family and her career as an actress. I only wish I knew more about Biggs and Wedge. All I know is that Biggs stinks too much and Wedge loves cats. But still, this is a great improvement from the original. As for the new characters, they seem alright. The only one that resonated with me was probably Roche, but he shows up for 2 fights and that's it. But for the most part, the new characters were serviceable for the narrative that they were going for. Now, I cannot talk about the remake without mentioning the rates and the ending. Alright, here we go. I thought the ending to the Final Fantasy VII Remake was kind of disappointing. Throughout the game, you come across these wraiths. They are ghosts that pretty much want you to follow the original FF7 timeline. Later on, you find out more about these wraiths from Red 13, who says they are a defense mechanism from the planet. Seriously though, these wraiths do not have to be here. In one of the scenes, they hurt Jesse so Cloud can take center stage for their mission to the second reactor. But why though? And if the wraiths were to follow the original FF7 timeline, how come Biggs and Wedge are alive? They died alongside Sector 7 in the original game. It doesn't make any sense. And the ending basically sums up with you defeating Destiny to alter the events that happened in the original timeline, at least from my understanding. So pretty much anything can happen in the sequel. While I think that's kinda interesting and opens up to a bunch of different possibilities, it is risky too. And Zack is alive now in a different timeline? I can't even begin to describe how new players would feel about this. They'd be so confused on what's going on. They wouldn't even know who Zack is. I guess they wrote the story like this because they didn't want to kill off Aerith. But why would you create a convoluted plot device with the rates? If you didn't want to kill off Aerith, why not do it based off of our choices? Depending on how we talk to Aerith, she would either live or die. And this is mainly my thoughts, but why not make us choose between Tifa and Aerith? It forces the player to make a tough decision between two wonderfully written characters. What I'm trying to say is, don't give us a plot device of fate being changed for these characters. You don't need to give us a reason to change things from the original. If you want to change some things, go ahead. I don't mind if scenes are added or slightly altered, but when you tell me fate will change everything for no reason, that's when I have a problem. To sum up the story, I feel conflicted. I loved every moment I spent with the original cast of characters. There were also some humorous moments too.
Home free, Red!
I wouldn't celebrate just yet.
Man, you need to lighten up. Hell, you might even try smiling. On second thought, maybe frowning suits you better.
I even thought all the voices sounded believable and well done. Aerith especially.
You good?
Of course. My hero.
I heard that it was Brianna White's first time to voice act as a character, and I gotta say, to voice one of the most important characters in gaming history, she did a damn good job.
Thanks anyway.
But overall though, I think the story is just okay. I just really hate the Wraiths who changed fate and the convoluted ending. But I am interested to hear your thoughts on the ending. Did you think it was good? Did you think it was dumb? Let me know in the comments below. But you know what isn't dumb? The graphics. This game is gorgeous. It's surprising how well this looks on a PlayStation 4. All the characters look better than ever, and seeing all the cutscenes in HD made me feel like a kid at a candy store. Seriously, there were so many parts in this game where I just admire the scenery or the characters. It builds up the atmosphere of Midgar and makes you feel a part of Cloud's journey. Even when you fight, all the animations look fluid. Choosing your command while the action is in ultra slow motion is so cool to look at. But sadly, it's not perfect. There are some problems with texture not loading in high resolution. But honestly, for a game that is running on a PlayStation 4, I can forgive this because when it looks good, which is most of the time, it looks insanely good. Here's hoping for a PC release. Now let's get to the good stuff, the gameplay. Square Enix made a bold move to ditch traditional turn-based and go for a more action-oriented approach. Many people were upset about this and immediately written off the game. Personally though, I absolutely love the combat. Every character you play with feels unique and fits their playstyle. Tifa being my favorite, a close range brawler allowing you to power up moves and make each of her attacks stronger. And the boss fights. I don't think I had a single dull moment with the boss fights. They all provided a fun challenge and definitely tested your knowledge of the game's mechanics. And the game helps you out if you're in a tight situation by allowing you to use summons or limit breaks. Now, there are some issues such as air combat feeling unpolished, lack of defensive options, and the camera getting stuck in tight spaces. But this is easily one of the best action-oriented games I played in a long time. The last time I had this much fun with combat is probably Kingdom Hearts 2, and that's saying a lot. Now, while many things have changed in the remake, one thing that has remained relatively the same is the materia system. And if you don't know what materia is, materia allows you to use magic and new abilities. As you level up your materia, your abilities or magic get stronger. They've also added new materia and allowing you to upgrade your weapons, which are great to try out and experiment with. But you won't be spending all the time fighting. There are parts where you just walk around, talk to people, play some mini games, and do some side quests. They're a great distraction, especially when you hear people's thoughts on recent events.
Alternatively, contact security headquarters. I repeat,
It's okay.
this is an alert from the Shinra Emergency Operations Center. Unidentified intruders have detonated a bomb inside Mako Reactor 1. Multiple explosions have been confirmed, as well as ongoing fire.
It makes the world feel more alive than it already is. However, side quests feel a bit generic. They're mainly just fetch quests or hunting a monster down. But one side quest you should absolutely do is Chadley's battle report. This little kid will let you obtain powerful summon material that will help you out immensely as the game progresses. But besides that, I would have liked to see side quests revolved around the main cast of characters. It would have been cool to hang out with Tifa or Aerith. Or hell, why not hang out with the Avalanche gang and get to know them better? These characters are amazing, so give me more opportunities to hang out with them. I also found some parts to pad the game out unnecessarily. Some people say that walking with Aerith back to town was padding, but I don't consider that padding. At least I'm learning more about Aerith in the process.
Easy now.
You worry too much. I'm not some princess who needs to be coddled. Shit. Whew. That was unexpected. Thank you, Cloud.
What I do consider padding is turning all the lights off to get to Sector 2. This is clearly padding, which they could have easily gone without since the game is already pretty long. But these moments are short and far between, so it didn't bother me quite as much. Besides that though, I enjoyed my time in Midgar and I can't wait for the sequel to be expanded upon even more. And finally, we get to the best part about the game, the music. Square Enix nailed it in the music department for this game. The old orchestrated tracks all sound fantastic. Not only is the music great, but at which times they play too. There's a really cool moment near the beginning of the game where Aerith gets chased by the raids and you have to fight some Shinra soldiers. As soon as the combat begins, the battle theme starts playing. It gave me goosebumps the first time I heard it, and the best part is, this happens numerous times in the story. And don't get me started with that Genova theme. If the fighting theme gave me goosebumps, the Genova theme left me speechless. Throughout the Genova fight, you go through 3 phases. For each phase, the music gets stronger and stronger. By the time you reach the 3rd phase, you hear the classic Genova theme with slight hints of Sephiroth's theme. It's genius. Whoever thought of that needs a raise. It puts the music on a totally different level for me. And while you're traveling, you get to grab CDs from stores or NPCs that contain remix tracks of classic themes. There's like a jazzy version of Tifa's theme, a rock version of the fighting theme, and if you're worried about the new tracks, don't be. The new tracks are a joy to listen to and a breath of fresh air. Collapsed Expressway being my favorite from the new tracks. I'm so glad Square Enix put a lot of attention to the music, because what I and a lot of people remember from the original game is the awesome soundtrack. By the time I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, it took me around 40 hours to complete the main story. I think that's a good length for a game, especially if it's only the Midgar portion. Playing this on the original PlayStation 4, I didn't experience any slowdowns or stutters, which is pretty impressive to say the least. So what is my final verdict? Do I hate this game? Absolutely not. I love this game as well as many others. I just didn't understand their thought process with the rates and the ending. Personally, that's my main gripe with this game. Thankfully though, it didn't completely ruin my whole experience. There is still a lot of enjoyment to be had. I loved hanging out with the original cast of characters. I was stunned by the gorgeous visuals. I had so much fun with the fast-paced combat, and I enjoyed every second hearing the wonderful soundtrack. It deserves every praise it's getting right now, and personally, I cannot wait for the sequel. Just don't bring back those stupid rates. Alright guys, thanks for watching, till next time.